What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? We are back for part 2, baby, of our Reliving 2022 NC State Moments list. Now, just as a reminder, if you haven't checked out part 1 already, it's not a must, but you'll, definitely be kind of scratching your head and be a little bit behind for sure. So make sure to go check out part 1 if you haven't checked out part 1 already, and then come right back here for part 2. Just as a reminder, once again, so basically for each of us, we had a top 5 and then an honorable mention of our favorite moments individually from NC State from 2022. And in the first part, we did our honorable mention and our 5th and 4th moment. And then for part 2 here, we're going to be doing our 3rd, 2nd, and 1st for each of us. So with that being said, we'll pick up right where we left off, and we're going to go to Michael for number 3.
So my number 3, I have women's basketball ACC championship / their tournament run, and specifically that Elite 8 game against UConn. I know we lost, but
that's like 3 moments in one there, Michael.
I know.
I don't know if I can accept that, man.
He's saying the team.
the season.
I know. That's not a moment, but yeah, no, I hear you. I got you. Yeah,
okay, then specifically the Elite 8 game against UConn, because that was one of the best. I know we lost, but that was one of the best basketball games in general I think I've ever watched in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And we were doing a live stream for that, so that made it more fun too.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. Well, especially too, I mean, I think that more of that, I think it was one of the highest rated games in terms of TV ratings of the year.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the amount of eyes that watched NC State, and watched us fight, really hard, even with Paige Beckers, really making that ridiculous run in overtime and fourth quarter, whatever it was, I mean, I think a lot of respect came out of that nationwide from fans for sure. So I completely agree with that. Macon, what you got for number 3, my man?
Mine for number 3 is going to be just the theme of three-peats, right? I'm going to go with I'm going to go with women's basketball and wrestling. I mean, both won 3 ACC titles in a row in 2022.
Very clever. I see what you did.
That is really awesome.
That is very clever. I like that.
So,
I gotta give you that. Yeah, number 3 doing 3-peats. I mean,
I didn't even think. Honestly, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about. Yeah, just drop the mic and I'm out. No.
Yeah, and I'm out.
That's good.
3-peats. No, honestly, that's for number 3. It's 3-peats. I was like, having women's basketball and wrestling, do that is pretty awesome. I mean, it's Papa Lizio and Westmore getting it done for them. So, just great. I mean, I just think it's really awesome. So,
yeah, absolutely. Greg, what you got for number 3, my man?
Yeah, I had women's cross country as my number 3. With the the back to, they only had back to back. So next year you can add them for your 3
next year.
Macon. So you can add another.
Even if they were my number 1, I'm putting them at 3. So
but yeah, they're back to back ACCs, and of course we've already talked about the championships with Caitlin Toohey, and I mean, we could spend a whole hour just talking about her and just her accomplishments at state, but. I'll pass it on to Leighton. What do you got for yours?
Same exact thing, actually. Cross country winning national championship. I mean, for me, because it really comes down to, I mean, State's only won 4 team national titles in its history, and for 2 of them to happen in back-to-back years. I mean, I think really just speaks volumes, about not only just cross country, but it's the athletics in general. Like, and I know we've said this, we went on a rant about it in the first part, but, you asked the question, would you rather be like, in Alabama, or you just have which I know isn't really a great example recently, because man, men's basketball, Alabama might be a men's basketball school. I mean, geez,
I pointed out to you guys, that is just crazy.
That is crazy. Right, like Alabama fans probably couldn't care less about men's basketball 3 years ago, like all football, and then here's men's basketball just beating teams left and right. But I guess basically saying, would you rather be like number top 4 in football, or have really, really good teams across the board, competing in the ACC? And I mean, that's because that's what we really have right now. I mean, there's really not a sport. There's maybe 1 or 2 maybe that aren't competing, at the top of the ACC, but that's it. I mean, for all of our varsity sports, there's maybe 1 or 2. That's it.
I know there was a stat that came out I think it was last year. I think I saw a graphic. Since the inception of the ACC network, State had the most ACC titles, and I know I don't know if that's still true, given you've had some more, but to your point, I mean we're right there competing with all the schools in the conference for top billing for championships. So that's something to be very proud of.
That
absolutely.
I think the same. It's like stat along the lines of since Buc Oregon took over, which I think coincides with the beginning of the ACC network.
Probably
so
pretty close.
Sense.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. So again, cross country, can't say enough about it for sure. And Caitlin Toohey, can't say enough about her. One of the greatest athletes to ever come through NC State. Simple as that. So, Michael, who you got for number 2, my man?
So 2, I have the pregame before Clemson, and because
about
so
game day?
let me just
Oh,
because leading up to the season, we had a lot of preseason
I
hype,
see what
and
you mean.
it felt good at that point to be
Okay.
talked about a lot.
I was happy inside at that point.
yeah, pretty much.
My heart wasn't ripped out and torn on the floor,
essentially.
stomped
The
on.
future was so bright then.
because
We
Michael
were
was at
The
home.
birds were singing, the
What?
flowers were blooming.
Well, and Michael was at home, all cozy in his bed in his heated house, watching game day, and
Nothing
Michael,
could go wrong.
And then making Greg and I were
Yeah.
drenched at 3 a.m. in the morning driving there. So hey,
that was fun.
I was
a
watching
fun trip.
game day in my
it
pajamas.
was an eventful one. Yeah.
So yeah, but no, I mean just being at that point we were 4-0. We had
Everything's looking great.
yeah.
number 10
I mean,
in the
it
country?
felt top 10. I mean, it felt good at that point where we were.
What could go wrong?
Well, no, I mean, I knew there
DJ
was a lot
could
to
be
go
elite
wrong.
that game and that game
Yeah.
only. Yeah.
No. But I mean, because also at that point, right? Last year we beat Clemson at home. It was like, okay, that we got them, finally got them. If we could do it again the next year, that would have been huge at their place. That I think that really would have.
It would have.
Yeah.
It would have.
Yeah.
Well, here's my thing. Here's
It
my
would've.
thing with that though.
I hear ya.
Typically in years of state in the past, you don't know. You think, okay,
Right.
this non-conference slate should be 4-0. Don't think it's going to be.
Right.
And
It's been a while
State
since we did
was
that, though,
4-0, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you go into it, you had just been Clemson the year before. Early in the season, you get them again early in the season this year. I mean, we all thought State was going to win that game, I think, in our early predictions. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe one of us got
all of us
No,
picked
I
them.
know we had
Yeah.
yeah.
because
So
I
we
thought
didn't
I thought we'd have, and we didn't really believe DJ Uyunglele was going to be great.
Just
It
and
was for that game and that game only.
He was enough for that game. So
Yeah.
but yeah. So it was. I get your point, Michael. It's a good call.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Hope was at an all-time high at that point.
Number 2 on my list was hope for football.
Yeah. Hope.
Yeah.
HOOPPPE. Hope. Yeah. All right, Macon, what you got for number 2, man?
So mine is going to be one y'all have already listed, but I had it higher on my list because I enjoyed it. Was honestly, I loved Tommy White, number 47 in baseball, man. I'm not going to lie. I know he's not here anymore and he can go on, but can you name me a more exciting moment that happened in sports last year besides like this guy? It was box office. He was box office.
He was must see
for
TV.
sure.
I mean,
Yeah,
must see
it was.
TV.
I mean, some idiot podcast had a fan club for him. So I mean, like,
I know.
Yeah, people had wigs and glasses and,
glasses
chains, and I
and
mean, it was
things.
crazy. So
And the eye
I
black.
I get it. He can go on to LSU and do his thing and knock yourself out. Go for it.
Yep.
But my thing is, he gave NC State one of the most exciting seasons in baseball ever. I mean, just because of him, just the one play, the one guy. Every time he went to bat, it was like, you better be tuning in whenever he's up at bat. And I just, I remember watching that
amazing.
Well, I watched the Miami game here at the house, and I watched that game, and I was like, I remember sitting there, and Lindsay's not really paying attention to the game. I'm like, Lindsay, you gotta see this. He just hit 2 home runs, and he's got a bat. He's about to hit a 3rd home run, and I know he actually broke the record at the day he broke the NCAA record for home runs as a freshman was against High Point University, because we went to that game, Layton, and I mean, if you go to some of his records, like I can't. Let me see if I can pull it up. But it was, I mean, he himself was awesome. That was to me the most for me.
Yeah.
The most one of the most exciting favorite moments of, and it also was one of the more disappointing moments when he decided to transfer. Right.
Honestly, I'm not mad at you for making that number 2.
Yeah.
I mean, that's for sure. But can we just have this conversation for like 8 seconds or 47 seconds? I guess.
Yeah.
Him leaving, is that the most state stuff ever?
I mean, that was one of the biggest like heart tears for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know because
I don't know about the state stuff. I don't know about that.
Yeah, because it's so common now, but it's like,
Right.
Well,
if
I view state stuff as things that just happen and you can't control it, right?
Right,
Like
yeah.
this guy just
Yeah.
he wanted to go somewhere else. And it was
like
whatever.
it's like state stuff is like the College World Series. Like state stuff, is,
that's that or like
women's
ref,
basketball going
like
to
Brian
UConn.
Underwood stepping out of bounds. People were calling
Yeah.
Brian Underwood out of bounds
Like,
in
it's just like,
2014.
oh my
whatever it
god,
was.
only Tennessee State does that happen. But
like this
Yeah.
guy, this guy was. I'm gonna read this because it deserves being read, and I know he's not here anymore. People might be bitter, but I'm going to because it was. He was awesome. 2022 ACC Freshman of the Year, 2022 All ACC First Team, 2022. I'm gonna forget the year. All ACC All Freshman Team. Dick Hauser Trophy semifinalist, Golden Spikes Award semifinalist, National Player of the Month in February, and he's the NC State single season and NCAA freshman home run record holder. I mean, that's just.
And if he would have stayed, he would have broke the
bananas. It's
all-time.
I know.
If he would have stayed, I think he had a chance to be the all-time home run leader at State had he stayed.
And he couldn't play
played this year.
defense.
that was going to happen. It was just when it happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
And
So I mean, I know. Even views him as a DH, right? So
Well,
and he's a great DH, but it's just like you want to play defense, and it's not going to happen at State. Whatever you want to do, and go for it, knock yourself out. But he was awesome. He was
makes
awesome.
zero sense though. Again, anybody that has a pulse of sports knows MLB does not give a rat's you know what about daggone defense. If you can hit the ball out of the park at will, they will find a place for you, my man. They will find a place. They
Now
will pay
that
you
the
big to do
NL has
it.
gone to the DH, it doesn't matter.
NL,
I mean, it's
double the amount of DHs.
It makes like so that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it makes
Yep.
no sense.
Yep.
So
Enjoy the
but,
mosquitoes and the blue dot balls. So
yeah. So once again, yeah. Anyway, so but yeah, no, I agree.
Specifically that game against Miami where he hit 3 home runs.
Unbelievable.
I mentioned
And
earlier.
huge
That
win.
was
huge win.
I mean, it was like you just
The stage.
he's going to hit a home run. He's going
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
It's more likely that he doesn't hit a home run. That's what's crazy about it.
yeah, I know.
I mean, he
And-
hit for a good average too. It wasn't like he was hitting like
Mm-hmm.
215 and hit like all those bombs. Like he was in the upper 200s.
He was. I got it here for you. He had.
I was gonna say, I'm
He
surprised
was 362 with 85 hits, 12 doubles, 27
362.
home runs.
That was his average was 362 or his base.
I mean, his 2022 freshman season batted 362 with 85
Wow.
hits,
Even-
12 doubles,
Even more than,
That's
even
what I
higher
thought.
than I
Yeah.
thought.
27 home
yeah.
runs, 74 RBIs, and a 757 slugging percentage.
That's insane. That's
like a
video game
good-
numbers.
That's like a good season in the MLB, and they play 3 times the amount of games.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know,
I think
know.
we play like 70 games. I think in baseball.
And I want to go back here.
A little over
In February, when he won National Player of the Month, he had 20 hits, 20 RBIs, 9 home runs, and 18 runs scored on a 1.412
Okay.
slugging
All right,
percentage.
we have to move on.
Sorry, I just
Breaking up.
I'm
My
hurting
point
inside,
is, it was for. But the thing is, it happened for NC State.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
And-
State
and-
can say he did it at State. It was our history. It's not like
Yep.
he,
Russell.
he could have done it anywhere else. He could do it. Maybe he does
But-
it next year, LSU, whatever. But
And it also
State.
wasn't just like a State story that State fans were aware of. Like he was on Sports Center like every other night because he's hitting home runs. So it became like a national
yeah,
story.
I know we're
It was
belaboring
like
this,
national.
and Layton's
Yeah.
sick of it. But
I know.
he was my
and
number
again,
2.
y'all,
That's my
it-
number
it-
2 favorite moment.
Dude, it's a great moment. I mean,
it's-
you can't
yeah,
argue
yeah.
that.
Well, and
As much as
again,
Leighton-
it
much
just
as Leighton wants to erase history, you can't, buddy.
I know. Well, again,
Yeah,
it just
Leighton.
goes back to like because again, thing which I want to remind fans as well is it's not like Tommy White was like a top 10 prospect coming out of high school. It's not like nobody expected Tommy to be that.
I mean, he was
Not
he was
you
pretty
know.
high up there, but no, he
but
wasn't
not
like
that.
not that.
I mean, not that. Like
Yeah,
know,
you never
so-
know what you're gonna
so,
get.
So that's what I'm saying is like at the end of the day, like State gave him the shot, and and he took it, man. And I
So for my number two,
yeah, go ahead. Greg. No, go ahead, Greg. Get me off of this. Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, Greg.
It's been mentioned already, but for me, it was a fun story. Was the women's Elite Eight run? Having followed the team down, we came down for Raleigh for the tournament, and then we made the drive up to Connecticut, and it was look. It didn't end up the way we wanted it, but man, that Notre Dame game was amazing with the Reina Perez steal to win the game.
Yeah.
And then Michael mentioned it, one of the all-time greatest basketball games ever played in recent memory, in that Elite Eight game. It was fun. Like again, as we know as State fans, things don't often go our way, but doesn't mean you can't still enjoy it and have a good time. And for me, that was money well spent. So that's my number two.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, and I'll go right after that saying that was my number two moment. Women's basketball beating Notre Dame, just because that moment of Reina Perez, getting the steal was huge. I mean, that's definitely a moment that will be in NC State athletics history forever. And Reina Perez will be forever cemented for that moment alone. Even though she gave us many moments, like that moment was big.
I think I hate this. I think people will forget her. And
Nope. I won't.
I think some people will, and I don't mean that like a negative. I think some people will, and it's like she's been one of the most clutch players in women's basketball NC State history. Like,
well, she hit the shot that won the ACC
She
championship.
should not be forgotten, in my opinion. She should be in the discussion of one of the greatest players State's. One of the most. I think I used this word last time. One of the most important players NC State's ever had in the women's basketball program.
Well, Leighton brought her up the other night on the live stream, and he's not wrong. And look, Wes Moore's biggest regret about Reina Perez, and he said it publicly, he only had her for 2 years. Like that he didn't find her sooner.
Right, exactly.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, but again,
I'm glad you brought up Reina Perez because she was awesome. She was awesome.
She was. No. Well, and to kind of go along with it too, since we're kind of grouping them, one moment which I had circled, which I kind of had right on my honorable mention, was the Jakia Brow-Turner 3-pointer in overtime. And that would have easily been in my top 5 if we had that would have been probably top two probably if we would have won that game. If we would have won that game and made it to the Final Four from that shot, because that was like a prayer shot. That wasn't like a okay, it's just like here, let's throw it up and let's see. And dude, like she swished that sucker from the corner. Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout Eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need, offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out.
Yeah, so we were the opposite corner, and I saw the ball coming, and I was like, that's going to go. That's going to go. And then it went, and I was like, it was an insane, because it was – I don't know if it was at the buzzer. It might have been like a couple of tenths of seconds before the buzzer, I think.
It was like right at it.
Remember. Yeah, but it was, like you said, it was – if it wasn't going in, we were done. That moment,
right.
So,
and obviously for me too, still one of my favorite moments is that the fact that Michael and I were doing our watch party, and Michael was like a couple seconds ahead. So for those who are listening, if you go back, because it's still on our YouTube channel, if you go back and watch it and you see Michael just sitting there, because again, Macon and I aren't looking at.
I thought I held it in pretty good.
And then he leans back, and then he looks at the screen. He goes like this, and then he goes because he already knew that it went in. But I always just give him crap, being like, Michael, you can't ruin it for us, man.
I know.
So and he did an amazing job not ruining that moment, because man, that was a huge shot.
One. I ruined the ECU field goal kick for Macon though. That one I was too excited.
Actually, that's what I'm thinking of. Actually, I take that back, because you're like, he missed it.
Yeah. That one. Yeah.
That was
he
the one.
sounded like a giddy schoolgirl.
It's the way he kind of said it. He was giddy. That's a good way to put it. Michael was giddy that day.
Yeah. So before we go number 1, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. And I'm gonna say that since there is no way on God's green earth this moment is not top 6, there's no way that this moment cannot be number 1. I'd be shocked. Let's put it that way. I'd be shocked.
Wow, you're making us sound like bad state fans if we don't have this number 1.
But how? Okay, anyway, go ahead,
Mine's-
Michael. Please go ahead, man. Number 1.
Yeah, mine's. I'm not. I don't have it. I don't have it on there. My number 1 is the cross country national championship.
See,
Whoa!
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't know.
Hot take.
I don't even know what
Hot
moment
take.
Layton could be referring to here, Michael. Are you
I'm pretty
aware?
sure it's the same one making you have that I have that Layton
that
has,
everybody else
that
has.
Michael
I don't
doesn't
know.
have.
It's
Michael,
a team national.
I'm on
championship.
Team Michael here. You can pick whatever you want to, Michael.
Of course
okay?
you can.
Well,
He's
you
wrong.
can,
but he can pick whatever he wants.
And you don't have to get judgment.
Yeah.
There's multiple hosts here, okay? Not just Layton, all right?
No.
No,
No
I-
judging here.
that-
Just like yeah.
Oh, there's total
Yeah.
judging.
Go
I
ahead,
just
Michael.
think a team national championship.
Yeah.
We've only done it in 2 sports: men's basketball and now cross country back to back.
I mean, I will say, how many
that's up there.
schools this past year won national titles in 2 different sports?
Yep.
Women's tennis
Not many. Couldn't tell you.
and women's track and field. I mean,
Yeah.
big deal. National titles,
But-
national title.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. We all know what we're talking about. So I'm
I
gonna ask
had
this,
to be
Michael.
different.
So,
I
Michael,
knew
you'd
it.
rather have the basketball season ending over State beating UNC in football, man? Come on,
In armament.
killing me. Well, no, again, it's all good. It's your list, hey man. It's all good. It's all
It's
good,
your
man.
list.
I'm just like, come on.
Well,
that was
Layton
so
saying
big.
it's your list, but it's wrong.
Yeah.
Hey, I respect it, man. It's all
No, I
good.
know.
It's all good, man. But I honestly
I
like
like it. I
like,
like
I was
difference.
expecting when I said I'm gonna make a a bold prediction here. I expected everybody to
It
be like,
wasn't that
Yeah.
bold, bro.
oh yeah. But then when y'all were like looking, I was like, no way. Does somebody not have it? But yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Greg.
No, I
Wait,
said it wasn't that
all
bold
right,
after all.
make it. It wasn't that bold after all. Yeah, because it was
So
wrong.
my number
Macon,
one
what you got for
moment-
number 1, man?
My number 1 moment
Yeah.
was NC State bass fishing. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It was my number 1 moment. I mean, I'll get to you. The one I enjoyed the most, I believe, was the NC State beating UNC in football. I enjoyed that the most. And if you're talking about
Yeah.
our favorite moment, that was my favorite moment. And it honestly was really close between. I mean, honestly, for me, it was Tommy White's anytime he was at bat or that game because
Okay, now you would have definitely been wrong had you come up with that number 1. We'll let Michael slide.
right.
He
But
had a
look,
national
but my point
championship.
is though. Here, I want to here's again my perspective on it. State had like no expectation going into that game, right?
Yep,
You kind of
yep.
thought I take that back because UNC had just lost to Georgia Tech the week before, who had a backup QB. So you're like,
But it was like they're going to
well,
play
maybe there's
pissed
a
off.
chance. There's always
Yeah.
a chance, but it's like well,
Senior night.
they did just lose to them, but they're not losing 2 weeks in a row like that. And
Right.
they were 9-1, I think, or they were 9-1.
They
And
were 9-1 at one point. Yeah.
They were 9-1, and then they lost to Georgia Tech. They were 9-2, I believe.
Yep. They lost 4 games in a row.
And and States, obviously, you're not sure about MJ. You know Devin Leary's not the guy. You already know Jack Chambers should not be the guy. So it's like,
Yep.
what are you doing here? And then you just go in there and you embarrass them.
You did.
You beat them. Like I had a cousin recently post on like one of my social media accounts. I was talking about Brennan Armstrong. I posted a little something about like Brennan Armstrong coming to State, transferring, big deal. He commented Drake May, like a picture of Drake May, just like he's just trying to be a funny,
Yeah.
good feel good family picking on each other.
Just tell him
He
scoreboard.
kind of and so I said, didn't he lose to State's QB4 this year? Like, I mean, that's how awesome that was. And I can't, because I was like, I can't believe this is happening. He throws it to Devin Carter the first drive. I think his defense went 3 and out the first
Yep.
play, goes to do that, and then the throw to Timmons, and you could argue in triple coverage. I just thought so much about that game was awesome, and it was like we have nothing to lose. You have everything to lose.
Let it fly.
So
Well, and to be honest, like honestly, between the last 2 years, like I could definitely make an argument that this game this year was one of the greatest State UNC games in the rivalry's history. Like, dude, it was crazy stressful the entire
and double overtime,
game.
right? Double overtime.
Yeah.
That's the other part about it. So
Yeah,
what I mean,
was
do
crazy.
you think this past game or the year before that when we had
Again,
was the
it's-
better game?
It's so tough. I mean, they're both big
Because
in so
they
many
might
ways.
be in the
I would say
top
last
10 most
year's-
memorable NC State games.
Yeah, I would say last year's just because of how we came back and won,
Well,
right? Like you
2022
can't
was last year.
predict. What's that? Oh,
So do you actually mean like last season, or do you mean 2021?
2021.
Okay,
You got me. All right.
Yeah.
You're talking about more probability to come back in the last 2.5
Yeah.
minutes versus having a QB4
Well, because we controlled
Yeah.
this
and
game,
winning.
right?
Yeah,
We controlled this game.
you did, and that's what's crazy.
Like,
That's
yeah.
crazy. I mean,
Well, and
I
because
get you. Sorry.
I would also say too, because we if we would have lost in 2021 to UNC, that would have been a bad loss. We should not have lost that game if we lost
Yeah,
that game. So
they were
we,
much
but
we
you
better.
didn't.
saved
this year.
ourselves
But you
basically.
didn't.
But we didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
So I'd rather take.
I agree.
I'd slightly put the game over
Slightly.
where it basically saved us from a oh my god, we literally just lost to UNC. What the heck?
Well, so just to move along, that is my number one moment for 2022.
Well-
For me, I enjoyed that moment as much as any moment the whole year. And I will also add this little tidbit. That was the game Chris Dunn got his NCAA record for field
Yep.
goals.
Yep.
There you go.
Well, let me as the spokesperson for Greg, I can say that the game that Greg was on the field waving the team flag,
Yeah.
I would
That's
bet
gotta
my
be-
house, I would bet my cars, I would bet my future life that there is no way on Guys Green Earth
Yeah.
Greg,
that
we have to say
that
something
Greg
different
might
now.
have
I
that
got
game.
nothing.
as
I got
won.
nothing. I got nothing.
Yeah, there's zero
let's
chance.
tell Leighton Woody's won. Yes, you would be correct in that overstated statement.
Hey.
Yeah, for me, it was just a full circle moment. You know, obviously, we don't need to. My dad told me something funny the other night. We were talking, and he said, "Look, man, I don't know if you know this, but you can't spell legend without leg." And he was like,
Hey.
I was like, "You're right." So, but yeah, just to come full circle, it was just a surreal moment. I don't know what was better, me getting on the field waving the flag, or Leighton's voiceover of the play-by-play on me getting on the field and getting the flag. It was the greatest.
I just
Oh my
can't
gosh!
believe
Oh
it.
my gosh!
He's
There's
on the
Greg.
field.
He's got the flag. He's on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so good. So yeah,
Mhm.
you're right. My number two, or no, excuse me, my number one is beating them at West Carter Finley. So
West Carter Finley. Amen.
Must go.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, like for me, it was the shock factor. Like once you knew that MJ was not playing, like I immediately said, hey, we're like there's zero expectations that we're going to win this game, zero, and nobody would blame us otherwise if we lost, especially with knowing after the game that you were literally playing with your 6th-string nickelback and Derek Pitts, literally a guy who played corner the entire season. You asked him to play nickel. But also too, like, you know, again, like the huge moments, like Tanner Ingle getting that huge interception, Ben Finley, the toss to Devin Carter for the touchdown. I mean, a huge moment, and I'm like a legendary game from Ben Finley to pull that game out. You know, like if he never even plays another down for NC State, you know, as you know, for the rest of his career, he will be forever remembered by
He's a
that
legend.
game. Simple as
He'll
that.
never
He'll
buy
be a
a
legend.
beer.
Exactly. State fans will buy him a beer for as long as he lives, no doubt about it, because for that game alone. So so satisfying after the game, because like I mean, going into that game, everybody was like you know, UNC fans were confident, cocky, whatever you want to call it, and then after that game,
no, they were just Carolina fans.
They were just Carolina fans, exactly. But I mean,
Just doing their thing. Just doing their
doing
thing.
their thing. So like it was so satisfying after that game. So satisfying. Like being like, we just beat UNC. Holy crap.
Not to
So,
mention the troll game after the game was amazing too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
just
yeah.
feel.
The what happened and the
Yeah,
planting
what
of the flag
happened?
and yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
No.
But
Um,
so go ahead, Michael.
So as I'm thinking about it here, like when we were doing this, when I was writing down, I just wrote down the first 6 things that came to mind, and really this game, I mean, obviously I enjoyed it, but it really didn't pop up. Like I think,
It's one game,
I
right?
think
I could see that.
yeah.
It's just one game.
Yeah. and I think it's because, you know, we're used to beating Carolina, so
And that's a great
There we
point. Like
go.
you expect
Hey.
it. You
Hey.
try, I don't know the word expect it, but you're like 5
One
out of the last
last
7, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I included the Clemson before that game, because that was something somewhere State had never been before, right? Top 10, getting prime time. I mean, we've been on prime time, but top 10 in a matchup like that. And
I think that was the
game
first
day.
ever, right? I think, or the second ever. Top
Have we
10
been
versus
top 10?
top 10.
First, I
We've been top
think.
10
First or
before.
No. Where both teams were top 10.
Yeah, I think it was the first.
Yeah,
I think that was
Yeah.
the first, right? Yeah.
and definitely adding College Game Day, sprinkling that on too. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, for
it's
sure.
a big moment.
Yeah, nope, I agree. And if College Game Day ever comes to Raleigh, that will be automatically set my favorite moment. That'd be ridiculous.
That'll be hard.
I'm
to beat.
staying the night before. I'm sleeping on the grass. I don't care. Go ahead.
Can we talk about this? Were there any other things you think should deserve a little bit of recognition?
Yes. Women's basketball's comeback against Louisville. That was one that I had right there on my honorable mentions.
Okay.
That was a big
So,
moment.
what about you, Greg?
I was at that game. Yeah. Yeah. No, I struggled with my list just because, like, I don't know, but the one that you did mention already was the three peats on both of the ACC championships. That was really the only thing else that was in the back of my mind. But no, I'm good.
Yeah, I think one that deserves some recognition. Again, we didn't talk about this. Men's swimming and diving was first place in ACC again. They finished, I think, fourth in.
Oh, and we had a national
NCAA.
champion winner there too, didn't we?
I can't
Yeah,
remember
we did.
Individual,
who was it?
Individual. Yeah.
So maybe you could
It's
argue
all
there's three
backstroke.
national titles. So we didn't even mention, and they're like a dynasty building just as much as track and field are, or is
Cross
I think
country.
is
Cross
yeah
country,
cross country
yeah.
is so
Yeah.
I think that deserves it. I think
Yeah,
you could
good
even
call.
argue Icky getting drafted the first offensive player in the
I didn't
entire
even think about
draft.
that. Yeah, that was
make it
huge.
First
come hot.
offensive
That's
player.
very true. Yeah.
So
I
every
didn't
player
even think about that.
So that's a great moment for State. You were the number 6 player, 1st
Mhm.
offensive player overall drafted.
Mhm.
2 at home Carolina Panthers, which they never drafted
that was
State
cool.
players. So
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good calls, man. Good calls.
How about finishing top 25 back-to-back seasons in the Directors Cup? I think it's the first time that's happened.
Yeah. That's a big accomplishment.
And
I wouldn't
as we,
necessarily put that as a moment.
Yeah,
but
that's-
but I know
yeah,
what you
no,
mean.
but
Like, that's
yeah.
a huge
Well,
accomplishment for sure.
while we're talking about that, as we're talking about this, I just saw like a few minutes ago they put a note
Yeah.
that State is 21st
That
in the
reminded
Directors
me.
Cup as
After
of right
fall.
now. So
Yeah, after
that's
fall sports.
Mhm. It's pretty
on
nice.
track.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, I've kind of mentioning a couple other commented moments as well. It's funny. Justin Cook, he actually said beating Wake Forest and Pitt in the ACC baseball tournament. So it's interesting to me how he mentions beating Wake Forest and Pitt, but he doesn't mention beating Miami, which, I mean, I could make an argument that was bigger than both of those games that you mentioned,
Yeah,
but
that
just
was-
interesting thought there. And
He's
then,
a baseball guy, so
yeah, so for sure.
I
And then
respect his opinion.
Wolfing also added a moment talking, and this is a moment that I had thought of too. But Hayden Hiley's post-match interview after the NCAA
yeah.
tournament,
Mhm.
that went
Yeah, that was
viral.
good.
His interview.
Yep.
I just came up with one. Women's soccer, I think they won one game in the NCAA tournament. If my memory serves me, I think they won one.
Well, they made it to the Sweet
know.
16 a couple of years ago too.
Yeah,
but
I can't remember if they
yeah.
won one.
They did it
I
this
can't
year.
remember if they. I can't remember. I know they made it. I can't remember if they
did.
won one and lost one. But anyway, another season where they've had good success.
Sure, absolutely, I'd agree with that too. Yep. So, and then obviously there was a couple other mentions as well, but those were the only two from the comments that we didn't mention here as well. So, again, y'all, I mean, hugely successful, and I think from what we've seen so far in 2023 with the men's basketball getting off the hard start, wrestling looks primed to be as good, if not better, than this is a team that is primed to make a run at our highest team NCAA finish ever. I mean, I'm serious about that. And again, softball we've mentioned, baseball we've mentioned, should be really good this year with Sam Highfield back and etc. So I'm really hoping 2023 can be as good, if not better. I really do believe that, and we're ready for it. So, any last comments, y'all, before we wrap 2022 up and put it in a nice bow?
No,
Nope,
I'm just
let's
going
go
to
get
say 2023 is going to have a lot of great memories and moments
Let's go
too.
get it. Yep,
Amen to
go get
that. Amen. Starting off with the scoreboard and the sound system. So with that being said, thank you all so much again for tuning in, y'all. For really do appreciate the support as always. So we are actually recording this on January 12th, which is exactly 2 years from the day that Mickey and I released the first ever episode of Tuffy Talk, man. So again, we just want to take a moment and say thank you all so much again for the support that we have seen over the last 2 years. It's been an amazing journey so far, and we are excited for what 2023 has to offer. And again, just we can't thank you all enough for the support. We wouldn't be doing this without y'all. Simple as that. So and if you don't mind as well, again, if you haven't already joined the club, make sure to again hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that like button if you enjoyed this episode, and give us a follow. Tuffy Talk now on Twitter and Instagram. We will see you all soon. As always, go Pack, baby.